What's good, everyone? This is your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room yet again, always with another one. And yes, indeed, it is another one. So, this is where we at. You can clearly see the title of the broadcast and things like this. Man, this is wild right here. And this is also something that I'm pretty sure a lot of people may agree with. Some people will, some people won't. And it's a very touchy situation because not only people catch felonies for little minor things or what you consider minor, uh just maybe having some type of substance or something like that. You can catch a felony for that, depends on the amount. Yeah, on up to actually doing heinous, egregious crimes. So but apparently the DOJ is considering restoring the gun rights, the Second Amendment rights, for people that have caught felonies. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but let's dive off into it. Let's see now. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has the power to restore gun rights, but the agency has been blocked from doing so under congressional appropriations since 1992. This rule creates a pathway to process those applications, but instead of the ATF, the DOJ will now be in charge. Pamela C., a legal expert, tells us the interim final rule follows an executive order from President Trump last month directing a review of the country's gun restrictions.
The Second Amendment is one of the most important ones we have. Therefore, we need to have a way to reinstate persons' civil rights, which would include firearms.
According to the DOJ, the rule would open an appropriate avenue to restore gun rights to criminals who have proven they're reformed.
Yes, we want people to have their Second Amendment rights, but having a constitutional right is not limitless.
The limitations likely to be put in place for those with violent and also dangerous backgrounds.
Limiting it to those who are nonviolent, no domestic violence involved.
Madeline Somerville, an attorney based out of Georgia, says, in addition to creating a pathway for people to own guns again, this rule will also clear up some existing restrictions and regulations.
If there were any unnecessary roadblocks on the way to someone having their rights reinstated that really didn't make sense, they're going to try to get rid of that as well.
But before a final version of the rule is issued, the public will be able to give some feedback.
There'll be an opportunity for people to comment on whether or not they think those rules are good or not.
Now, groups advocating against gun violence are pushing back here. Everytown for Gun Safety issuing a statement saying that this move throws out decades of bipartisan precedent and is laying the groundwork to put guns back into the hands of violent criminals. I'm Jeff Harris reporting from Washington.
Now, that last bit he just said about the people that are protesting against this situation, basically. Now, see, I don't understand how people think criminals actually work. Now, real criminals are not caring about laws. That's the reason why they're criminals. Okay, we have to use logic here. A criminal doesn't care about carrying a firearm or an illegal firearm on top of that, because he's a criminal. They 9 times out of 10 he probably wants to go to jail. And with this situation here, if you did your due diligence, you may have done something years ago, stuff like that. You came out, you made yourself a decent citizen, you tried to actually acclimate yourself back into society properly. You've walked the walk for years at a time now. Nobody's seen you slip or anything like that. You stayed on the straight and narrow path. I think you need to restore these people's rights. Seriously. This is a serious situation. If you come out or caught a charge or something like that, that's on your record, a felony charge, you should be able to get your Second Amendment rights back, as well as the right to vote. If you've proven yourself to be a decent citizen. I mean, people make mistakes and things like that in life, and to have that being held over someone's head for the rest of their life is kind of mute. You can't do, you shouldn't do that, because the thing of this is people do change, and people make mistakes, and a mistake is a thing to where people change from that. And they should be able to, be allowed to change and definitely get their natural rights back, because, that's what that is, technically. All right, so I got this next one for you guys right here. We're going to check this out. And yeah, More information on this is very vital. We're trying to see what's going on here. Restoring gun rights. Let's go here now.
Trump administration is considering a way for convicted felons to restore their access to legally owning a firearm. Queen City News anchor Alicia Barnes and Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes takes us through those arguments.
The Justice Department is releasing plans to create a process for those with criminal convictions to restore their gun rights. So this decision sparking alarm that it will return firearms to those of convicted violent crimes. The interim rule follows an executive order from President Donald Trump last month, directing a review of the country's gun restrictions to assess any ongoing infringements. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, this conversation. Lots to discuss here because restoring gun rights to those who have been convicted of violent crimes, laying out the argument here for us, it says that a lot of people are concerned.
Now, hold on. The lady in the previous segment laid out something that I kind of agree with myself. You're talking about, convicted of super violent crimes, stuff like that. Yeah, that's kind of iffy. I get that. Now, just a nonviolent felony is something totally different, of course, and things like that. Those people weren't engaged in any violence and stuff like that. Now, yeah, I know that it gets very tricky, because it is what it is here. And we would have to stipulate the particular type of violence. Like, I know everybody probably wants to throw DV in there, things like that. Well, in most cases, if you look at the stats on DV, both people are engaging in said act. It's not just one-sided. So, yeah, I mean, even the reports from police say that. Let's keep going.
Why?
Well, I mean, there's arguments for both sides in this situation. You have on the one side folks that are saying that the government should not be infringing on folks' constitutional rights to bear arms. And on the other side, you have folks that are saying there needs to be some common sense legislation and regulations, specifically rulemaking process that actually limits folks that can have guns. In this situation, you're talking about people convicted of felonies, but in all other instances, you're talking about folks that are domestic violence, people that have prior drug use. That was the Hunter Biden situation when attempting to get a firearm. And so a number of things are put in place by the ATF to ensure that folks that check one of those boxes, either a violent crime, either a domestic violence, or someone that is on drugs or had drug use issues in the past, don't have guns fall into their hands. And so that's why these regulations have been put in place. I should say these rules have been put in place to try to deter and stop folks from having guns in their hands. On the other side, folks are saying, look, in any type of regulation that stops folks from getting access to guns is a bad idea. And right now, that fight has been going on for a long time. And this is the president saying, I want to get an examination of that in February. And today, this interim rule is something that the ATF is saying, as they'll go forward, will be the new rule.
So the DOJ now, under this proposal, they were very specific about who this would benefit. Explain that a little bit.
I mean, you're talking about folks with violent crimes. I mean, this is it's as specific as you can get. At the end of the day, these are folks that typically, if you were convicted of a crime, you would have been barred from having access to a firearm. And now they're saying, no, you will not be barred from having access to a firearm. And so that's why I say I have mixed feelings about this, specifically as someone that defends people that are charged with these types of crimes. Once you've committed the crime, you've been sentenced, you've done your time, you've paid your restitution, you've been on probation, you've been on some type of post relief. This additional infringement to say, look, now you still can't vote or you can't own a firearm is an additional hurdle for you to be reintegrated into society. And so I do understand and appreciate how folks are saying, well, listen, this person is done. They've served their sentence. Restore them fully to being an American citizen. But on the other hand, I can see that there is a secondary effect of someone that has committed a crime in the past. The likelihood is now higher that they may commit a crime, specifically if the original crime was a violent crime. So
like he just stated right there, I can see it from both sides of the coin. Yes, I can too. I'm not stupid, and don't be stupid out there either. Yes, it is true. Stats do say that, most people that do get convicted of real violent crimes, heinous crimes, and stuff like that, most likely will, commit them again. But at the same time, though, too, the Second Amendment is in the Constitution. It's our natural born right as an American citizen born in this country to be able to carry firearms. And, of course, this is where it gets tricky because, yes, they do have things. We do have this situation in place to keep guns out of certain people's hands and things like that, or at least try to. But as we can clearly see, most of the real criminals that don't want to, be part of society, but want to terrorize society, they don't care about carrying guns.
And what the French toast is there to think about?
They don't care. Look at what's happening in places like Chicago and stuff like that, where these young people out here, deleting each other all the time. Some of these young people they could barely buy a pack of cigarettes at the store. How's he getting hold to a gun? But he doesn't care. And, to a degree, this kind of limits the people that may have done something in the past, gotten their life together on the straight and narrow, doing the thing. They need protection out here in this world. They need to be able to protect themselves with the law of the land that was naturally given to us by the Constitution. And these are just the facts. And we can't deny this issue. This is an issue that needs to be resolved, basically, because not everybody that, may be called a felon or something like that is a hardened criminal. No.
Can understand and appreciate both arguments.
So also to be able to point out here, they said that no constitutional right is limitless and they would now be screening out others. Specifically, what does that language mean? Is it kind of like what along the lines of what you just said about who should be able to have their rights?
It is. I mean, and that's what the argument is. What talking about, it's not limitless. Most of these gun rights advocates are saying that the president is attempting to do this unilaterally. While I think he is using his executive powers to do a number of things unilaterally, I think in this situation, this is how the administrations and agencies are supposed to work. ATF is there to formulate and promulgate rules. There should be and needs to be a rulemaking process where you have an opportunity for public citizens to comment on the proposed rulemaking change. And that process is the part that should be happening now. Here's this interim rule. These are the changes that we're thinking about making, and let us know how you feel about that. That's the problem that folks will say. If you're not having that rule-making policy discussion with everyday citizens, now you're overreaching your ability. But outside of that, I think this process is exactly how our agencies are set up. And if you rewind it months ago, the same folks that are now in power were saying the ATF doesn't have the ability to do these types of things. But now they are making the ATF do the things that they want to see done.
Colin Rhodes, we appreciate your insight. Thanks so much.
So, yeah, y'all get down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about this situation. It is, to be honest with you, yeah, it's very serious. It's very serious. The majority, well, not the majority, but there are a large number of people in America that has nonviolent felony, been convicted of nonviolent felonies. So, to have your natural rights back, not just the with the guns, also the right to vote. Seriously, I want to see both come to the table and things like that. I really do. I want to see both come to the table, not just the gun rights, but also the right to vote. Like the gentleman said, yeah, he's defended people like this. He can see both sides of the coin. I can too, about how definitely the super violent people, yeah, they don't need guns, but at the same time, though, too, that's also still their natural American born right. It does get tricky. It does get tricky, and I can understand that. But yeah, get down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.